welcome to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him at gods5minutes@gmail.com. Now, here's Ed Wilson with God's 5 Minutes.
Hello, friends. The first two verses of the 58th Psalm read, "Do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do ye judge uprightly, O ye sons of men? Yea, in heart ye work wickedness, ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth." The caption of the psalm tells us it is David's and that it was inspired for a special instruction. Picture a great governor whose heart is consumed with love for those citizens who must submit to his administration and who wishes to reach beyond commandments like where property lines should be established and how an inheritance should be transferred, to touch the deep things of the spirit that impinge even more upon the happiness of his subjects than the more mundane things can do. And so he writes a message designed to provide spiritual guidance suited to those times when the most important decisions of life must be made. The verses reveal the contradiction and folly of pretending to be noble and upright in the plans one makes, while underneath lie greed, selfishness, even violence. From this starting point, the psalm proceeds to lay out a devastating portrait of the spirit and behavior of those who give themselves to the poison of selfishness, with fearful descriptions of God's reaction to human lust. While oppressed beneath the cruelty of such heartless behavior, David cries out to God for deliverance and retribution, as righteousness always does, and then provides a description of the eventual triumph that truth and innocence must ultimately find over evil, whether in this world or in the next. One phrase in particular is very compelling, "As a snail which melteth, let every one of them pass away." The reference is to the mucus trail mollusks leave behind them when they travel. The material is used to lubricate the travel surface, and at times to help the animal adhere to the surface where it chooses to stop. Probably David didn't know as much about the biology of the creatures as we do today, but one obvious point is that there is a limited amount of this mucus material that can be produced from the mass of an animal so small, so that in traveling, a snail uses up a portion of its life, and that can only be replaced by the snail having access to the ingredients it needs to continue to manufacture the mucus. Since this metaphor is in a passage dedicated to the destructiveness of sin, it is fair to draw these conclusions from David's language. Just as a mollusk must give up something of itself in order to travel its course, so the sinner must trade something of his opportunity in life in order to devote himself to wickedness. If the snail can find some lettuce and water, it can replenish its stores, which is unlike the unhappy soul which has made a deal with the devil to trade his life's precious substance for trying to gain a few inches down a wrong road. In the slime trail that makes up the pathway of sin is, all too often, a person's property, for almost invariably one of two things happens to riches for which one has sold his integrity. It vanishes away, so that the bargain was a false one, or these earthly treasures lose their ability to delight the soul. The diamonds turn out to be pieces of coal. The houses and lands become a source of worry instead of a means of furnishing delight in the later stages of life. In just the same way, sin robs a sinner of health. How foolish to trade the bloom of youth for the short thrill of the wild party life with its sinful physical abuses. How sad to see the broken, withered forms of those who, when vigorous and young, saw no threat in the Bible and the curling smoke, or got themselves permanent injuries from playing with Satan's fire. Time, too, is deposited in the slime trail of sin. As Wally Fowler's old gospel favorite has it, wasted years, oh how foolish, as you walk on in darkness and fears. Turn around, God is calling. He's calling you from a life of wasted years. Relationships are in the slime trail. How cursed this world has been because of promises made and not kept.
You have been listening to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him by email at godsfiveminutes@gmail.com. Tune in next time to hear more encouraging thoughts from God's Word on God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson.